Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon and welcome to our viewers in Ottawa tonight. The federal government has ordered the country's two major freight railways to enter binding arbitration. CN Railway and Canadian Pacific Kansas City had locked out more than 9,000 workers at midnight after negotiations broke off at midnight with the Teamsters Union. The two companies' combined haul is estimated at $1 billion in goods each day. The Minister of Labour saying the shutdown cannot be allowed to drag on. Nisha Patel reports.
Just 16 hours after the lockout began, the federal government stepped in.
The impacts of the current impasse are being borne by all Canadians.
The Labour Minister changing course, turning the dispute over to the Canada Industrial Relations Board.
We're asking the board to direct a resumption of activities and a return to work at the railways. We are asking them to begin the process of binding arbitration and to extend collective agreements that are currently in place.
Almost immediately, Canadian Pacific Kansas City said it was preparing to restart railway operations. CN Rail ended its lockout and initiated a recovery plan.
We are satisfied that this is coming to an end. However, we would have preferred a negotiated settlement, obviously.
The union, however, said picket lines would remain in place while it consults with legal counsel. In a statement writing, Canada's two major railways manufactured this crisis, held the country hostage, and manipulated the government. Teamsters Canada Rail Conference is deeply disappointed by this shameful decision. Together, the CN and CPKC rail networks stretch across the country and crucially link with the U.S. all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. From farmers to miners to manufacturers, even a brief shutdown hit hard.
We have not been able to ship liquid chlorine since Monday of last week due to the embargoes and moving the safety material off of the rail. So we are now on day 11 of no shipments of chlorine.
We are losing, for every day of the strike, $55 to $63 million a day in lost sales for our fertilizer products.
Small businesses, too, may have paid dearly.
I think if I can learn anything from the past couple of years, there's always a cause and effect, and even a week's delay can be an issue.
With high costs and slim margins, there's little room for the unexpected.
A lot of our businesses are just barely surviving, so anything that pushes, will push us over the edge.
Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
So freight traffic could resume within days, but some GTA commuters will still need to have a backup plan tomorrow. Metrolink says there will be no GO train service on the Milton line and at Hamilton GO station on Friday. If you're in Hamilton, you can use West Harbour and Aldershot stations or take a GO bus along Route 16. And those who usually ride the Milton line can use the Lakeshore West or Kitchener lines instead. All right, looking live at Chicago tonight, where the final day of the Democratic National Convention is wrapping up. It's the moment everyone was waiting 4 days for. Kamala Harris is speaking to the crowd, formally accepting her party's nomination for president. While tens of thousands of Democrats are gathered at the convention to hear Kamala Harris speak, many more are gathering at watch parties to witness the historic moment together. That includes here in Toronto, where the local chapter of Democrats Abroad held a viewing party tonight. And as Anam Khan reports, they want to get a message out to all Americans living abroad.
I'm from San Francisco, California.
I'm from Olympia, Washington.
I am from New York City.
These American patriots gathering in Toronto to show their support for Kamala Harris.
We feel exhilaration, we feel hope, we feel like there's progress, we know there's so much at stake.
About 100 people gathering at this pub downtown to watch together as the current U.S. Vice President accepts the Democratic nomination for president on the final day of the party's national convention in Chicago.
I am so excited to have the first woman to be president. And I really feel now that the United States, hearing what we have to say as Democrats, that they are listening.
But it's not just about celebrating the historical nomination. Democrats Abroad is focusing on getting out the vote. reminding Americans everywhere that their voice matters, especially in an election that's expected to be as close as this one.
That's our job, is to find Americans and tell them they can vote, because a lot of them don't know they can. Especially what we call accidental Americans. They have one American parent and they don't know they can vote. So there's a lot of people that could vote that don't.
Organizers say they're feeling energized.
Kamala has bringing so much joy to the party and so much energy that, that we have to be able to beat Trump.
And they're advocating in any way they can, sharing buttons and handing out pamphlets.
I'm getting calls from Canadians saying, how can we help? And the best way you can help as a Canadian is to tell your American friends living in Canada to go out and vote.
Early voting will open in some states starting next month, with the election taking place on November 5th. If Harris wins, she will be America's first female president. Adam Khan, CBC News, Toronto.
RCMP says a resident from the GTA has been charged for allegedly participating in the activities of a listed terrorist group. They say the arrest follows a lengthy national security investigation. The person is facing 2 charges, including participating in the activities of a terrorist group for the purpose of enhancing the ability of the group to carry out terrorist activity, as well as counseling another person to commit a terrorism offense. Police are digging into the mysterious disappearance and murder of a prominent Markham real estate agent. Homicide detectives now confirm human remains that were found burned in Parry Sound earlier this week belonged to 56-year-old Anita Moy. And that's more than 200 kilometers north of where her SUV was located in Toronto after she was reported missing 2 weeks ago. Chris Glover has the latest on the investigation.
This Scarborough Strip Mall parking lot is where investigators say they found Anita Moy's high-end SUV. It's not far from the 56-year-old woman's Markham home, and investigators say that her family told them that she left on the morning of Friday, August 9th, and they reported her missing later on that day. Now, a few days later, on Monday, August 12th, OPP officers found her burned remains just north of Parry Sound, a couple hours north of Toronto. And police say they've not yet determined her cause of death, but Ontario's chief coroner did confirm it was her body. Police believe that Moy was targeted, but are still investigating why. And investigators have evidence that on that Friday, when she went missing, the real estate agent was at a 10-acre rural property in Stouffville for a deal.
Why do you suspect she was targeted?
We believe she was at this property for a real estate transaction, but as to exactly why she was targeted, that's part of our investigation.
3 teen boys now face charges in connection with her disappearance. They all face fraud charges because police say that they used her credit cards after she disappeared. And one of the teens also faces a number of firearms offenses. Now, all 3 of them are suspects in her murder and may face upgraded charges as well. Police have so far found no evidence to suggest that Moy's case is connected to that of Ying Zhang, another Markham woman in her 50s who went missing last month. Her remains were found a few days later in Kirkfield. That's 140 kilometers northeast of Toronto, and a 26-year-old man from East Gwillimbury was charged in her case. Now, despite the similarities, police are not connecting the 2 cases at this point. They say that they have no evidence to suggest that. Meanwhile, at Moy's Richmond Hill real estate office, all locked up today, I spoke to a man in the plaza who says it's all one big mystery.
Could be a motive. Looks to me like that person who did this must have a motive behind it, right? Why would you kill anyone in random, right?
Investigators are, of course, trying to piece all of that together, especially because her car was found here in Scarborough, but she is believed to have disappeared from that property in Stouffville. But they do think that she was transported from Stouffville to Parry Sound in a white Mercedes-Benz Sprinter cargo van. And now they're asking anybody who may have seen a vehicle like that between Stouffville and Parry Sound on August 9th, between August 9th and August 12th, to contact them. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
A Whitby family is seeking answers tonight following the death of their 13-year-old son. The teen was found in the family's vehicle with a seatbelt around his neck after staying behind during a shopping trip. He later died in hospital. Tyler Cheese has more from the boy's family, but first a warning. Some of the details of this story are graphic.
He was happy. He found joy in playing games, tinkering with computers, and spending time with family and friends. Our son was an incredible child. He was the eldest, our firstborn, and the one to make his parents for the first time.
Syed Marir is pleading with the public to share any information they might have about the circumstances that led to his son's death.
We are really desperate, looking for information from anyone who might know something or have seen anything.
Last Friday, Marir and his family stopped by the Oshawa Centre Mall to do some shopping. He says his son Subban decided to stay in the car while the rest of the family shopped. When the family returned to the vehicle, Marir found Subban with a seatbelt wrapped around his neck twice. The boy was rushed to a nearby hospital and eventually moved to Sick Kids in Toronto. He died yesterday.
The unexpected and violent death of our son has traumatized our whole family, but the worst part of it has been that we don't have any answers about what happened. We are desperate for any answers or closures that we can get.
The Durham Regional Police Service wrote in a social media post that it's investigating the circumstances surrounding the boy's death, but at this time in the investigation, there's no evidence to suggest criminality. Whitby's Mayor Elizabeth Roy also posted her condolences, writing, "I urge the community to keep Subban's family in your thoughts and prayers in the coming weeks and months." She also reiterated that no criminal investigation is taking place. Police are asking anyone with more information or dashcam footage to contact them. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Whitby.
Welcome back. CUPE Vice President Fred Hahn is defying calls from the National Executive Board asking for him to resign. It all started with a post he added to social media about Israel and Gaza. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop explains.
715,000. The country's largest union, now divided over Labour leader Fred Hahn, who's whipped up support among members in the past. I believe that we will win! I believe that we will win! This week, CUPE's national executive called for him to resign as a national general vice president. CUPE's local in Hamilton has now gone further, also wanting him out as president of CUPE Ontario. It goes back to a video Hahn posted on Facebook during the Olympics, showing a diver tattooed with the Star of David. He jumps, then, in a part of the video we won't show, turns into a bomb, creating destruction, families running. The end of the video accuses Israeli athletes of participating in genocide. It's been called anti-Semitic by some. 80 CUPE members who are Jewish have filed a human rights complaint. Days later, Hahn deleted the video and posted an apology, saying he didn't intend to conflate Jewish people with the actions of Israel. And now, a Stand With Fred movement, with tens of thousands of people backing him online.
For the National Executive Board to really just subvert the democratic process and call for Fred's resignation, I think it's an attack on all union democracy.
This CUPE member is Jewish and also critical of Israel's violence in Gaza. She appreciates Hahn's apology.
I wish the video had made that star blue and put a line on top and bottom of it to represent the flag and not the Jewish people specifically.
But others aren't so forgiving. Ontario's Labour Minister posted a video to social media this week confronting Hahn.
You have to stop hating on Jews. Thanks very much. This is about the state of Israel.
The Premier, who's tangled with Hahn before, supported his minister.
This guy's been a bully for 20 years. And do you know what's funny? I'm getting messages on my phone from CUPE members saying his comments have been disgusting. In my opinion, he's a disgusting human being.
Though the Premier's comments backfired with CUPE National, its president calling Doug Ford a union-hating, anti-worker premier, and Ford's words, bad faith bullying. One thing the two sides of the union do seem to agree on.
Any time that Doug Ford, who has done so much to harm the working class, is commending your labor union is doing something wrong.
Late in the afternoon, Hahn messaged CUPE members, calling the past days some of the toughest and saddest, rejecting the charge of anti-Semitism and vowing to continue to fight, clearly not planning to resign. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
A provincial by-election has been called for next month in Bay of Quinte to fill the seat left vacant by former Progressive Conservative MPP and Education Minister Todd Smith. Smith resigned the seat last Friday to take a job in the private sector, just 3 months after being selected as Education Minister. Prior to that, he was the province's Energy Minister for 3 years. The PCs have already nominated a candidate, choosing Tyler Alsop. He's been a city councillor in Belleville since 2021. The NDP, Liberals and Greens have not nominated a candidate yet. The by-election is set for September 19th. Residents in the city's Parkdale neighborhood say the rollout of a new bike lane is causing chaos in their neighborhood. The West Parkdale cycling route is supposed to link the West End network to the rest of the city, but some say the road changes have created unsafe conditions for everyone. Brittany Billette reports.
These cars are driving in the wrong direction and toward a new bike lane. Several road changes were made to accommodate a new cycling path in Parkdale. Neighbors say roads are more dangerous now and tensions are flaring.
People are getting out of their cars, like punching windshields. I've seen just like crazy stuff happening. So yeah, just a lot of frustration for sure.
Some residents, including those who support the project, say the implementation of the West Parkdale cycling connection has been rocky. Part of the problem was that GPS apps had changed their maps before city staff could set up signage.
The rollout wasn't the best, and Google was part of the problem with that.
The new bike path starts at the Queensway, travels through a series of small residential streets, and ends at Brock Avenue. The city says the approximate cost to deliver the project is $120,000 to $150,000. Advocates say the new route will strengthen the cycling network and make biking safer.
This infrastructure is designed to help support people in this ward get from A to B and really help unlock more local trips. It's also important to keep in mind that a lot of this is about safety. 2024 is proving to be Toronto's deadliest year for people on bikes. We've had 5 people killed already.
But many local cyclists I spoke to say though it could help others, it hasn't benefited them.
All I do see is just the chaos of the cars that's happening here.
A number of residents also worry about what will happen come September if people continue to flout the new rules on top of the added congestion they've noticed near schools.
I'm really concerned that the amount of traffic that we're going to be funneling through that intersection is going to be too much for our one crossing guard to handle.
Many locals who spoke to CBC Toronto say their feedback during the planning process fell on deaf ears.
A lot of people had great suggestions and none of them were implemented. They just went forward with the full plan they had proposed. So I think that was the problem.
But in a statement, the city wrote, consultation activities included 13 meetings with 15 interest groups, an in-person public drop-in event, a feedback survey, and comment tracking. Over 200 people attended the public event, and nearly 1,400 survey responses were received. Some residents say they've been in touch with city staff to express their concerns, but the city notes that the project isn't fully implemented. It should be by early September. In the meantime, staff will continue to monitor the project once it's complete and make changes like adding speed humps or more turn restrictions. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Toronto.
Imagine holding a fist-sized rock. Now think of that turning into a diamond. Now this is the diamond unearthed by a Canadian mining company in Botswana. It's believed to be the second largest ever dug out of a mine. It's a 2,492-carat stone, which weighs about half a kilo. The company Lucara used X-ray equipment designed to look for large, high-value diamonds. Let's go to Riley Lachuk now with a check on your forecast. And Riley, after a stretch of cooler days, many no doubt happy that warmer weather is back.
Certainly a lot more seasonal for this time of the year, Kelda, through the day today than we have seen over the last couple of days. I mean, boy, oh boy, yesterday barely struggled to get over 22 degrees across the GTA yesterday afternoon. These temperatures a little more like it, 26 in Hamilton today, 24 in Toronto and Peterborough as well, and into southwestern Ontario, also seeing temperatures 23, 24 degrees. Usually we should be at about 25, 26 for this time of the year. So still a couple degrees off of that seasonal normal in some cases, but things are changing as we get into the weekend. We do keep the dry stretch of weather as we get into the weekend, but we also funnel in some humidity as well as we get especially into Sunday, into Monday of next week. So looking at our forecast as we get through Friday, starting mainly sunny skies, a few stray clouds here and there. So I'm calling it a sun cloud mix as we get through the day on Friday. Much the same for Saturday. I do mention though that we could see a hint of a scattered shower, especially in cottage country as we get through the early part of Saturday morning. This is associated with an area of low pressure skirting across parts of northern Ontario. Not going to have much of an impact on the GTA, but like I mentioned, could see some scattered showers around cottage country. Very slim chance, if that, as we head through the rest of the day on Saturday. Mix of sun and clouds on the way for Saturday. Rinse and repeat for Sunday as well. A mix of sun and clouds. As I mentioned, this dry stretch of weather really continuing into the middle of next week even. We're looking at this continued dry stretch of weather and fairly sunny skies as we get through the next several days at least as well. Overnight temperatures a little bit closer to normal, still a little bit on the cool side. We could get down even as low as 13 degrees along the water in Toronto, 19 over toward Mississauga. So the further inland you go, warmer temperatures overnight tonight into the early morning hours. Another good night to sleep with the windows open, if you ask me. 15, 16 through southwestern Ontario and really across the rest of the region, looking at fairly comfortable conditions overnight tonight. But it's the humidity that I want to talk about as we get into the next few days here especially. So looking at the muggy meter as we get into next week. So tomorrow into Saturday, fairly comfortable conditions, but look at some of these dew point temperatures into that tropical and unbearable range as we get into early next week. These will make temperatures feel closer to that mid-30 mark as we get into Tuesday and especially into Wednesday of next week, and could feel some thunderstorm development into next week. So I know that's a little bit far off from now, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there. 25 tomorrow in the GTA, 27 for Saturday, and Kelda feeling closer to the mid-30s with a chance of showers as we get into the weekend and early next week.
Thanks so much, Riley.